Hey, welcome back. So this is our third topic of the day and the last topic of the day, where Shashi Gupta will be talking about iterator and generator. So over to you, Shashi. So you can have your brief introduction first and then start.
Thank you, Patro. Yeah, my name is Shashimar Gupta, and I work for PayU as a senior software engineer. Mostly, I work for front-end technology, React and micro front-end, and I have been it's been more than 6+ years. I've been working as a front-end developer, and yeah, I like to play table tennis and sports. Yeah, so with that note, I would like to start my session. Before jumping on session, just let me share my screen so that it's visible. So just let me know if it is visible. I hope it's visible to everyone.
Yes, it is visible,
Okay,
Shashi.
great. Thank you. So I was just my topic is iterator and generator. Before moving to what actually iterator and generators are there, so I just wanted to give some couple of examples so that you get the sense what it is exactly, how we use that. Then we can automatically get what it is actually. I was just started I wanted to start with a very basic thing which almost everyone knowing, there is a for off loop and for in loop in JavaScript. Most probably if people are familiar with JavaScript, they must be knowing this, and they must have been used also in their day to day life. The first thing I wanted to say, like, what is actual difference between these two? So the difference is, if let me create one variable. If suppose if I create an object, uh, my obj, which has like two, suppose one name, okay, name property, and again age property, suppose 24, and let me create more one array, okay, which is just nothing, just array of numbers, okay. So these two variable objects I have, okay, object and array I have. So if I loop through this object and array using for in loop, okay. So if I try to loop it, okay, let key of my obj, and if I try to print the key, let me just first get it through in, okay. So if I try to print the key, we see it's a printing name and age, which is the here property, and if you access like my obj of key, so it will print value as well, that we all know, correct. So why it is giving always 3? Okay. So this is how it is. I think I have to take it in variable so that it prints it. Okay. Yeah. So this is how it is. And if I try to use instead of array, if I to object, if I try to use this array, okay. So this array, we can see here it's not actual value. It's printing its indexes. So we can loop through array using for in loop as well. This is what for in loop can do. Now let's go ahead and try to use for off loop, okay. So if I use for off loop, instead of giving indexes, it's giving me like value straight away, okay. So now the question is, can I use like, did you saw that, okay, for using for in loop we can use array and object as well, but using for of loop we can use array, but if I try to use object, we can't do that. You see, it's saying like object is not iterable. So what is this iterable means? Why it's not able to loop over object and loop over to array? Even if we try to loop over, okay, let a string some str, so it will able to loop over, okay. So if I try to loop over str, it will be able to loop. So why it is loop over to able to loop over string array but not object? So where does that come from? So yeah, that's the question remains. So before moving to that, I just wanted to show one more thing, like that might not be related to iterator right now, but just wanted to show as a curiosity. So the question is, if we see here, if we loop over in for in loop in array, so it's we can see it is able to all the print all the property like indexes whatever my array has. So if we see at the end, let me share my console. So if we see console dot log there, if we do an array, okay, sorry. Uh, so we can see like it has proper key value at the end. Array is also object in JavaScript. Everything is an object, correct? So it's a like key, it's a value. So we can see the length is also a key, correct? But it's not. You can see here it's not looping or in for loop. So why does that happen? Why is it's not able means it's not looping over length? So for showing that, I just wanted to show like just want to show why it is actually happening. It's not able to. So there is something called every like property in object has a their own descriptor. Most of you might know. So if I try to print, okay, the descriptor of array, get property descriptor, get own property descriptor. I might be failing. Hmm, just let me see if I have this. Yeah, I have this get own property descriptor, the function name. So if I pass my array here, my array, so we can see like get okay. I this is the global like object function. That is why it was not coming. Yeah, so we can see like now if you see check, so it has like value see 0 as a key, and the value is 1. Properties like descriptors are writable to enabled. So if we notice that every key has like enumerable true, but for length the enumerable thing is false. So this is the real things which is like causing the issue to not loop over in for loop. So in for loop, if the if the enumerable is false, then it won't able to iterate. So similarly, if suppose we want to make our obj something which should not be iterable, so we can again like make the iterable false. So if we again have like we can create an object, we can define a property on object. So suppose I have my obj, and I gave like suppose gender, and I pass a descriptor here, and I make a iterable false. So if you see, if I'm making false, we can see only true property name. If I make it true, immediately it's rendering gender as well. So this is the things just I wanted to show here. So let's keep this thing aside. So nothing to do with iterator at till this part. So yeah, just now we see the picture. Okay, why this was happening? Like we were not able to iterate over object. Okay, yeah. So my object. So let's try to make it my object iterable. So how does we can do that? That's the interesting part. Okay. So let me move to the console again. Let me clear this. So here, if we see here, one thing. Suppose let me give an array again. One array we have now. If I try to call, there is a special property in array like symbol dot iterator. If we if we try to access this, we are getting a function. Let's cache this function in a variable it, so that we can get it better. It has already been declared. Okay, I think I have already tested somewhere. Let me choose it too. Okay, so if I try to print this it's again. So if I call this it dot next, it to dot next. Okay, let me clear the console. Just give me one moment. Yeah, so where I was, yeah, we got a, sorry, it's a function, so I need to call it. Okay, so now if I see it too, it's a iterator, you see. So this is where the for of loop is able to iterate over this that it array, while if we try to access same thing in object, we won't find anything. So if you try to access this in string, it will be present. So whatever, data type, map, string, or a dom, node, dom, list, all those things, they have this special property. So for those who are not familiar what is symbol, so a symbol is a data type which is introduced means in year 6, I guess, in JavaScript. So it's a data type added newly. So what is the advantage of symbol is, if we, if we try to create any unique key in symbol, it will be always unique. Means whatever the data type, if you see here, I am creating same, you know same symbol again, but always it will be false. So that's the like main unique feature symbol provides. So that is why we are using here symbol, so that, if we are pushing anything in array, it should not override accidentally. So that is why this unique key we are using in iterator to keep the iterator. Yeah, so where we were actually, we were till it2. Okay, so we got array iterator. If I try to access I2 dot next function, so it is again a function we see. Okay, so which is returning me value which I given here, it the array, inside array. Our array was something I cleared actually, I think the array was, yeah, this. So see, you can see we are getting the value 1 and done false. If I try to action again, it 2 dot next, we are getting the next value which is 2, and if I try to do access, we are getting 3, and for last we are getting undefined, and it's done. Yeah, so this is how we are able to, access the value of array using iterator step by step. But what for of loop does is, like it take the iterator and internally somehow it calls next until it find, okay, done is like true. So that's what happens behind the scene. So let's try to write our my object. Let me delete this iterator so that we can iterate over it. So as we saw, okay, so as we saw, array is having what, one extra, property which is symbol array. Let's give that. And we saw that array, like it is a function. Okay, we called here. So let's try to make it a function. Okay, so let's try to make it a function. And also we saw like this function returns what, it's an iterator, and what it does, it also again it returns an object which has a function named next. So we'll return an object here. Okay, and which will again have a function next. Okay, so we are just trying to replicate that, whatever the array has. We are not nothing doing anything extra, so we are just trying to replicate the same thing, so that, for loop will be able to go through and it will find the structure and it will be able to print. So if you see here, next we have, and what does this next return? This next return an object which is having nothing, value 1 and done false. So let's return an object. Okay, so which is having like value, I'm giving hard coded value for now, we'll see. So and done is, suppose I'm giving true. Okay, so if I try to iterate over here, see the iterator result undefined is not an object. Just give me one moment. Yeah, so it will never be stopped. Okay, so what does for loop trying to do is, it's keep looping until the next is happening, it will keep looping. So for that, I think I need to give a condition here, so that for at one time our next breaks, next function breaks. So suppose I am creating a random number generating, and if I give like, okay, if the number is greater than 75, then you return from this. Okay, else what you do is return, value 1 and done false. Yeah, so if you see here, we are able to now iterate over object itself using for of loop, which we were not able to till 10 minutes ago. So now you can see it's just generate like till this condition satisfy, means it's going the last value. Even we don't need to give this value because it doesn't take the last value for some reason. So here, as soon as this condition meets, it's saying, okay, I'm done, and it will return. Otherwise it will keep going like value 1, value 1. So instead of value 1, if I, what if I give here, like suppose I take a let me take a I as a variable, and let's like return this dot I plus plus. So if I see, just give me a minute. Yeah, if you see here, okay, I need to give comma here. Yeah, so if you see now we are taking 0 1 to the like how many times it's going, as soon as it's going to this condition. So every time if I see, it will be changed. It might take different variable. Yeah, so you saw that. uh yeah, so this is how we make our, object to iterator. So the picture is, we are using this much syntax. Like every time if you have to write something like this, you have to use next. Inside that you have to remember, okay, there should be a base condition, so that we say okay, we are done. So instead of doing that, if I take this out, okay, and what if I use a generator, okay, which actually makes our job easier. So generator is something, the syntax of generator is, we give a star at the end. Okay, so that's what the syntax, most of you might be aware of as well. So the generator, yeah, so here, so generator give us a extra, a keyword which is yield. So what does that do? So if I do yield 1, okay, so it means, it will yield 1, and it will stop, it will pause the execution, it won't go away. So let me show it quickly, so that we can do it, like now we will come here again later, so that we can understand better. So let me just create a generator, sorry, iterator function through a generator, my zen, okay, and it yields 1, okay. And if I call this generator, if you see, like suppose let it equal to my gen, okay, I call it, and if I do I dot next, you know and let me give two variables, so that we can see the value also. Yeah, so you see at the end it's also returning same thing, value 1 done false. So but we see, we are not writing like this much code next and all, even though see we are calling next also, but we are not writing so generator is something which at the end create a iterator. So that's what the job of generator is. The generator job is to create an iterator, and iterator job is to, pause the execution and go at a step when we tell. So till now you saw in for of loop we were using iterator, and it was like looping immediately. But we also have control, so that, instead of looping all over through, we can go step by step, as we saw initially, like whenever you call next, it will go to next value. So that's control also. So iterator is something like a, you can think of a remote control. So generator, once you call generator, immediately it won't execute. If I show you one more, like yield 2. So if I show you here, this line you can see red, green color, so this is a code coverage, okay. So what it does is, you can see, this line 2 is still not has been covered. This is still white, even though I have called function, I am calling function, it means it should be executing all the line, but that's not the case, you can see here. But as soon as I will, try to, uh, just give me one moment. I will try to call this next again. See the coverage got again. If I uncomment, see the coverage gone. So that's what, the power of generator. You can pause the execution until you need to go to next line. So this is actually, the generator thing. Now let's go back to our example, what we were doing here. So now you know the how the generator things are working. Hopefully, if anybody has question, you can raise hand, or what, put a question. Till now means I can take till now question. To make an object ready, you can put your question. I think this, I couldn't understand this question. Yeah, but still no issues. Let's go ahead then. Am I audible? Patro, if you can confirm. Okay, great,
Yes,
great.
you are. You are. So I think to
Okay,
make an object iterable, I think I'm not sure. So Premlata, could you please elaborate your question so that Shashi can answer? So Shashi, I see one more question is coming up from Ankit Tiwari. A little off topic. How are you printing on VS Code?
okay. This is something called a Coca. There is a extension called Coca. Means there is a command. Okay, sorry. Marketplace. If you go here, and you can. Sorry, not this one. This one. If you can search Coca, so you will find it. Here it is. So this is an inline editor, which is I am using. Okay. I think any. Okay. Okay, let's move ahead then with our topic. Okay, so this is something we were trying. Okay, so let's make our iterator where we were. So instead of yielding it directly, what I will do is we were doing like, okay, while now what happens is we have to put a base condition always if we are using as a for loop, because at the end the for loop needs to know, okay, where do I need to shut down, stopping, like stop. So if I put again like math dot random and suppose less than 0.75, and I yield it, okay. And again I can take a variable and put I plus plus again, like let I equal to 0 and yielding I plus plus or plus plus I, whatever. Okay. And it's not, somehow it's not taking, maybe somewhere I'm missing up. What happens that sometimes it doesn't go inside that, so that's why it doesn't print anything. It's come out directly for the first time. Suppose this condition doesn't meet, so it won't print anything. That's why that was happening. So I made the condition somehow broader so that we can go inside that. So you can see like still we are printing these things. Okay. So now you can compare this, like we were writing this much code for generating an iterator, but now that code got very much optimized and syntactically small. So that's what generator does. Yeah, so this is pretty much about generator. mm, just give me one moment. Yeah, so I just wanted to also show one thing, like our we all use spread operator. Like if we create a array, so array also internally use this iterator and generator thing. So if you see here, like suppose if I create an array, if I dot a, sorry, it's not a dot. So we see that like the destructuring also does by. So if I try to if I try to do my obj, give here, if I try to give my obj, so okay, I need to give dot dot so that destructuring. So you can see like we can destructure even an object if we are providing an iterator. If I remove this line, so it won't able to do that. Means it will say the again the same error, like my object is not iterable. So we can see, I'm not sure about how the object destructuring works. That's not obviously on iterable, but what I could found is like the array destructuring is based on iterable. So loop over through our objects, and it goes through one by one, and it is able to create a new copy of that. So this is all about it. And like I showed you, you can iterate over your object itself. So let me just I wanted to show one more use case where we can actually iterate over. So just let me grab that code instead of typing. it will take more time. So this is something like we suppose we have object and we want to iterate over again, so using for of loop. So this is how you can put your object, so that y- if we use like for in loop, we will get the key, okay, like here we are getting, and we have to use my obj, like some whatever my obj, then pass a key, then you will be able to access key and value. But using iterator, you can customize your output of object, and also you'll be able to use the for of loop. So let me just show you, like val of my obj. We can see now, like whatever we, so here what I'm doing is, whatever object we are taking, we are trying to iterate over is using for of loop, and whatever key are we getting. Now whatever we will build, we yield, we will get here. So if I want to, okay, yield only value, so here we see we will get key. But if I want to yield the value, so I can do like this dot key. So this will give me all the value of the object. If I want to suppose array of key comma value, so we can yield those things. So something like that, so we can manipulate accordingly whatever output we want, or we can do some manipulation. It's like mapping, whatever you can think of. So this is what we can do using this. And one more thing I just wanted to show you, like there is another thing. Just let me create one generator so that we can. So as we saw, there is a keyword yield, which yields value. Okay, whenever we call this, we will get the value. But there is something also called, you know, just let me. Why is this? So if I get the iterator, I need to call this. Sorry, I already called it. So I dot next. Yeah. So I was saying, like, if we have another keyword called yield asterisk, what it does is, it is like one more layer. It, instead of iterating normal value, it iterates over like whatever is already iterator. So array is a iterator, correct? If I want to iterate over this array, so instead of using, okay, again one for of loop inside that and yielding one by one value, so we could have done this also, like, okay, for, let suppose this array would have been a, you know an const air equal to something like this. So if we want to access one by one value, and we want to some do something and return it, so instead of, we could have done like let air of, sorry, let val of air, and we could have yield it like val. So this we could have done that. So this will also do the same thing. But instead of writing this much code, we can directly. But the condition is, if you are putting anything in front of yield star, that has to be iterable. So iterable is like array, or your custom iterable if you are doing. So that's the one thing we get out of the box if you want to do that. I think pretty much I'm done with this. If we have any question or anything.
Hey guys, so yeah, so if you have any questions, feel free to put down here, or you can raise your hand so that I can pull you in. Okay, so there is one question from Premlata. Shashi, you want to answer that?
Yeah, to make an object, you can use the define property method itself to make a enumerable as true instead of going for generator extending object with symbol iterator, right? What is advantage and when we go for generator symbol? So the in enumerable thing I showed you, that is nothing do with the iterator. That was something just I wanted to show you, as I already told also in starting. So those two things are completely different. So you can make it like whenever you are either creating an object, or you can like later using my define property, you can manipulate the enumerable thing. And about the second thing, like what are advantage and when we can use generator. So the main advantage you saw is like the things in generator is lazy, means at the like you are not using your all the code inside generator at a single line. So things are lazy. It works as a command. If you are giving command, then only it will go to next point. So one correct like use case you can think of using like creating any unique identifier. So if you go okay next, you call a next, it will give you a unique identifier. Next, it will give you the next identifier. So something like that you can think of. So and suppose you are creating a carousel, then clicking on next, you want to next carousel, next carousel. So mostly it gives more sense when you are dealing with large data set. In a small data set it won't make much sense, but knowing is good. But if you are dealing with large data set which doesn't fit in single picture, so in that scenario we also do have like async generator and async iterator, but that I'm not covering in this session. So that makes more sense, like okay, when you have a infinite stream of data coming from your net or over the network, and you keep on to iterate over, so that in that scenario async iterator and generator makes more with things smoothly go on. So those are the some advantages of generator, right? Next question, I think. Just give me. Okay, so thank you. I would like to add a generator can also be used as a synchronize async code. However, that use case is no long use cases and no longer popular async. Correct. I agree. Means we can replace async await completely if we want to use a generator and iterator. The way we used to do await. So instead of using await, we could have yield the things when the things actually we get. So that could have been like which were popular. I agree. Since the async await came, so that replaces the things. Otherwise, that was making more sense previously. That I agree with it. So, how to identify the use case while working development for using generator uh, and yield? So, in day-to-day life, I honestly speaking, I also couldn't find very much, use case which fit in picture. But yeah, the things which I kept like the use cases which I told like uh, creating something unique as identifier. Also if you are working with large data set which comes infinitely, like one example I saw, there is a cat like we have the uh, on internet we have like thousands of crore picture of cats. So those cat picture you want to show your website, like if you have to show the all the picture of cat in all over the internet in your website, so it will take like years and years. So but to keep those things coming on, you might need the iterator and generator. So those are the scenario where it actually comes in picture. But yeah, day life, I also don't find much use case in our day to day life coding. So hopes that answer. Please add scenario for same. Yeah, means I try to give the CAD example. And also some older framework like Ember still use generator function with a yield a lot. I'm not sure about it because means I do have worked on Ember, but I'm not means I've never. Yeah, I see like in Ember we use Glimmer. Glimmer components are there. They do use once I encountered with that syntax. That time I honestly I was not familiar that much with iterator and generator. So yeah, they are like in if you come to newer version of Ember, they started using Glimmer component. So there I have like encountered some of times they are using like using of this generator. And also if we see, if why to go to Ember, if you see like in React we use React Thunk, there also they are using in React Saga and all, they are using iterator thing, which you use on coding. So yeah, those are the area that I still means that been used as a iterator. Yeah, so I think just top topic, which station I think I already told, it's a Quokka used to display coverage score. Same tool, it's a Quokka tool. So that also shows you coverage as well. Yes.
Yeah, so if you see in the chat, Venkata Krishna has posted a link to a particular
Yeah, it is there already.
library extension. Yeah, cool. So I think thank you, Shashi. It was a really wonderful session. I saw a lot of good questions came. Thank you for your time and effort,
Thank
and
you,
thank you all
Patil.
for joining our session. So see you on our next meetup. So we'll be announced that soon on our meetup.com. So you can join our channel on Discord. So there every Saturday 5 p.m. we meet and we just casually discuss. So no RSVP required, uh, no registration, nothing. You can directly jump into that chat and we can just casually talk over there or anything on technologies. So thank you all. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.